Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Octis from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit and says, Am I the Arsehole Here for towing half the neighborhood? My family, wife's side, have a summer apartment in the south of France in a gated community. All year there is no parking issue, but in summer, since Airbnb came out, it's hell to find a parking spot since there is no allocated spot. There is a place with no clear parking line. Imagine a big square of concrete where everyone can park for free. I had the opportunity with 3 neighbors to buy this parking to the co-propriety. It's like an HOA but with less power here. So we did buy it last year. We made 6 large parking spaces for our cars with lines and plate numbers in front of each parking spot and put a gate which is always open for the other neighbors to park here. You can park 3 to 5 other cars. Here in France, July and August are 2 months where almost everyone is in vacation, so Airbnb and locations peak here during this period. Last week, one of the neighbors I bought the parking with told me that the parking was packed and he managed to park only one of his 2 cars on an unassigned parking spot. His parking spots were taken, mine too, and the 3rd neighbor too, and every free slot too. So he put a warning sign telling parking is for residents only and not for anyone else. Cue 2 days ago when I come home with the wife and kids for vacation. I drove by night to avoid traffic, and when I got there, 3 AM, parking is packed and I have no choice but to park 300 meters, 1k feet from my home. Next morning we put a large sign telling cars on assigned parking spots would be towed and text every neighbor to ask for their plate to not tow a resident. This morning, same shit. So we closed the gate, phoned the police and got everyone towed. Shit hit the fan. Bunch of Airbnb people called the cops and homeowners to ask why they got towed, and the location was saying with parking, so lots of refunds were asked. My phone was ringing non-stop today. Some homeowners tell me they're going to sue me for the refund they got. Some Airbnb tenant told me they will sue for the towing cost. We have everything documented. Lots of Airbnb homeowners tell us that we are the arseholes here because we didn't tell them ahead, but we do put lots of signs on the parking since last year when we bought it. They just hadn't come to see it, and they approved the selling of this parking to us, so sorry for the bad English, obviously not my first language, and I'm angry right now. So are we the arseholes for towing everyone here? People are asking, were the reserved parking spaces clearly marked? Obi says our space, 6 total, are marked with white lines and license plates in front of each parking spot. And there is free space for 3 to 5 other cars to park for free, but we only towed the cars on assigned parking spots. There was 4 other cars, 2 from neighbors I know, and 2 random lucky tourists. Yeah, there are 6 marked spots and enough room for 3 to 5 cars outside the marked spots, and yes, it's free all year because we never had this kind of problem before. Someone says, why not simply lock the gate permanently? And OP says, only 3 people have the keys, me and the 2 neighbors who bought it. But 10 out of 12 months is heaven here and friendly. We want to keep it that way as we know the friendly neighbors since 15 to 20 years. What happened after the towing? I had someone calling from Airbnb, or told me it was, to ask for a picture of the parking due to the refunds asked. 1 week here is around 1,600 to 2,400 euros, depending on the square meter of the apartment. If you multiply by 6 cars, we're talking about a lot of money. Thanks, and seeing the number of calls I got today, I'm pretty sure this will fast become a we problem in court, and if not in court, a lawyer problem for sure. People were asking, were the tourists at fault or the Airbnb hosts? Opie says for their defense, if I rent a place that says I have a parking spot, in this crowded spot, I will for sure park my car. I don't put my hate towards the tenant, but more towards the renters. Yeah, and I will 100% ask for a refund for the rent and for the tow. Yeah, kinda not feeling bad for them. Today we're on the community pool with any UK family who got towed yesterday, and they told us Airbnb already told them a partial refund of the week was processing and a 100% refund of the towing was granted, so win-win for them. Someone says, did the situation continue after the first round of towing? Opie says, license plate numbers are on the signs in front of the spots, like right in front of your face when you park. And today I found 2 fake plate signs on our sign and cars parked there. Had to call the police again to tow them. People were saying, what are you doing to stop this from happening again? Opie says, we gave the town police a temporary key to access the community and the right to tow anyone who doesn't match the plate on the sign. We also asked the guy who was in charge of maintenance in the community to call the cops every time he sees someone illegally parked here. Why don't you rent out the parking spaces to Airbnb guests? Opie says, thanks. Because we all have family who come here to cut long road trips, and I know the close neighbors since 15 to 20 years, and I can't see myself renting a parking spot after all these times. Why not install parking barriers on each space? Opie says, I don't want to put some stop parking on our parking spot because it'd be a hassle with the other neighbors yearly. As I said, it's the first time in 20 years we're in this parking mayhem like that, and out of 12 months, this place is heaven for 10 months. Has Airbnb changed the community? Opie says Airbnb is the problem here, seriously. I understand people wanting to make some cash in this period, but if it is at the cost of the whole community, why bother? Did the Airbnb listings actually advertise parking? Opie says way too much. Between 1,600 and 2,400 euros depending on the surface of the apartment base from what I saw on Airbnb, but all of them have parking included, and there is no parking here. Someone says, did you warn the homeowners before towing? Opie says, fuck around, find out. Nice, lol. As I said in the post, I text the homeowners to ask for their plates to not tow a friendly neighbor. I've come here since I was 12 years old, and it's the first time I didn't enjoy the first 2 days of vacation. Now, obviously I feel for OP for having to deal with this mess to begin with, but at the same time, I also feel for the Airbnb guests, because if you rent a place that's being advertised as parking included, of course you're going to park where the host tells you to. And in the end, they ended up paying the towing fees and dealing with a hassle because the hosts were advertising something they didn't actually have. The owners trying to blame OP is also ridiculous. They knew they sold those spaces and still kept promising parking to guests. But I think it would have been an interesting sight to watch all those cars get towed away, but OP comes in with their update and says, I posted 2 days ago asking if I am the arsehole for towing half the neighborhood. A lot happened in 2 days. Honestly, it's a shit show. I've come here nearly every year for 20 plus years and never seen this before. We've got people towed in our reserved parking spots again. We've got people towed for parking in front of the gate, so nobody could leave the parking at all. We've got people putting signs on our reserved parking spots with their plate numbers so they don't get towed. The management guy called us asking if we added new license plates to be sure to not tow our cars. I've never encountered this level of entitlement from random people before. We caught one of the Airbnb tenants red-handed as he was parking in our assigned spot, and he showed us an email from one of the renter neighbors who straight up told him to put a sign and park anyway. So as of today, we're closing the gates and put 2 new warning signs telling people to get the fuck off our property. No more friendly neighbors. On the bright side, we're in the pool after lunch and chatted with a British family who got towed yesterday, and they told us Airbnb was already processing a partial refund for the week and a 100% refund for the towing, so they were kinda happy with the outcome. I told them they can park in my second space as my wife will leave our second parking spot today. We took a lot of pictures and got in touch with one of the neighbor's lawyers who bought the space with us, because we got lots of phone calls from Airbnb renters and police and city officials about the issue today. Renters gave our info. I don't even know if that is legal. Lots of new people came today to start their vacation week. I hope they get the hint of the many signs we put and don't come in our parking spots. People were asking more questions saying, did the Airbnb guests understand what was happening? Opie says, yeah. We saw them at the pool and they just don't understand what is happening, but I think they spoke between them because I heard one family had been towed on purpose to get a refund from Airbnb. Whoa. Another one says, are you taking legal action against the Airbnb landlords? Opie says, yeah. Our lawyer is already tracking them because here you can rent for a maximum of 60 days a year in Airbnb or you are illegally renting. We'll see what comes out of his research. From what our lawyer said, Airbnb would be a waste of time because they wouldn't attack us in court, but we'd have a case against the landlords here with the mail we gathered from the renters, but they specifically told them to put the fake signs with their license plates to park on our private assigned spaces. Lawyer told us not to contact anyone on the matter. Will Airbnb guests be able to use the free parking in the future? Opie says we gathered information on who is renting in Airbnbs. There is no chance they will use the free parking ever again. Another one says, were any of the 3 owners renting their properties on Airbnb? Opie says no renters between the 3 of us. One commenter pointed out, like always with parking disputes on Reddit, people always, like all the Reddit commenters, are always like, get them towed immediately, and the OPs never usually do it, but in this case, OP went, fuck it, and towed a lot of them. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Toodles McGee 93, who says, my 24 female best friend, 23 female, is doing something I don't agree with in regards to her ex-boyfriend. Do I need to say something to the ex? I have a best friend, Kimberly, that I've known since preschool, inseparable ever since. She's like the sister I've never had, etc. You get the picture. Anyways, Kimberly has had a few boyfriends over the years, but her first serious one, first love, was Kyle. They met senior year in college. They were so crazy about each other. I became friends with Kyle by association. He's a pretty good dude and I liked him for my friend. They were together for almost 2 years when Kimberly broke up with him. It wasn't over anything scandalous or terrible, it was just basic but insurmountable incompatibility. One wants kids, the other is child-free, and they both have very different sex drives. Even though Kimberly initiated the breakup, she was absolutely crushed and devastated. She had wanted to marry Kyle, and he wanted to marry her, but realized it would never work in the long run, and better to end it now than drag it out for years or get married and then get divorced. I was proud of her, but I hurt right along with her. It was just a sad and shitty situation because both of them are good people, just not right for each other. It messed her up bad and took her a very long time to recover. Almost a year later, Kimberly cautiously decided to go on a date with a guy she had met at her rock climbing gym. They hit it off, sparks flew, and they have now been dating almost 3 months. I'm very happy for my friend. I haven't met her new boyfriend yet, but he seems to be very good for her. It's the first time since the breakup that I've seen her truly happy and smiling again, and I thought at long last she was finally over Kyle. Until 3 days ago. We were having a girls' night, drinking wine, watching horrible chick flicks, playing Mario Kart and having lots of girl talk. And she mentions, after a couple of glasses, how even though she is super happy with her new boyfriend, she just can't stop logging into Kyle's Facebook account. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Kimberly says she still has Kyle's Facebook password and she has been logging into his Facebook. I can't remember if they blocked each other or just unfriended each other after the breakup, for a year sometimes to see what he's up to. I immediately told her what she's doing is super shady and creepy for one, and two is kind of disloyal to her current boyfriend. Kimberly got kind of defensive and said she didn't agree, but it's harmless and she just wanted to see what is going on with Kyle sometimes without having to talk to him directly. She also said that in the beginning she was logging in way too much, almost daily, but over time she has slowly scaled back, and ever since she met her boyfriend she only logs in a few times a month. I told her it's still wrong and she needs to stop it now. How would she feel if her boyfriend was logging into his ex's social media? How would she feel if Kyle was logging into hers? She got flippant and said she wouldn't care, and speaking of which, why did I care so much? Maybe I should mind my own business. Night was kind of ruined after that, and because Kimberly had been drinking, I told her she could crash on my couch, but I was going to bed. She left in the morning. So here it is. 3 days later, I'm wondering what to do. I'm actually still friends with Kyle on Facebook. I've been thinking of sending him a PM saying something about this. I haven't really figured out the right words though. On the other hand, I feel disloyal to Kimberly for going behind her back and talking to her ex and ratting her out. Plus, I'm worried that Kyle will rat me out to Kimberly and our friendship will be jeopardized. It's the last thing I want. Or that Kyle will be weirded out by me or not believe me. We haven't really talked since the breakup, just the occasional like on some of each other's statuses and pics. I'm wondering if this is really even any of my business, and if I should just stay out of it altogether, and I'm completely out of line to say anything. A commenter says to OP, if you message him, it's very likely she could intercept the message or delete it, and then things will be fucked between you guys anyway. If I were you, I'd sit her down and try again, while you're both sober, to convince her what she's doing is wrong and that she should stop. Beyond that, there's nothing else you can do besides consider that your friend is actually a shitty person and reevaluate the friendship. Opie responded saying that's true. I didn't think about that. I think I still have his number somewhere. It's just buried deep since we don't talk anymore. I'll see if he's still in my contacts or on WhatsApp. I think I will. Both of us have been drinking and emotions were a bit high. I probably could have used more tact in my approach. I kind of just blurted out what I was thinking and may have come across as harsh and judgmental, which probably wasn't productive. I shoot her a text and try to have her over for coffee instead of wine and talk about it. Commenter says, just give Kyle a heads up to log out of all sessions and to change his password, anonymously or not. And yeah, you really should consider being friends with this girl. I mean, this is a huge invasion of privacy. Your friend has serious issues. What she's doing isn't fair towards Kyle nor towards her current boyfriend. Opie responds saying, while I agree with almost everything you said, I'm not going to stop being friends with her and end a 20+ year friendship because of this one thing. She's like my sister. She probably needs help, not being ghosted. Commenter replies saying, people judge you for the friends you keep, and what your friend is doing is extremely fucked up. I mean, you've seen how she reacted to you calling her gently out on it. If she can't see that she's clearly in the wrong, what are you going to do? Just ignore it? Opie responds saying, yeah, and she's been an awesome person for the time I've known her. I can't get into the wonderful things she's done for me and others because that's not what the post is about. I don't disagree what she's doing is wrong, but she didn't kill his dog. Actually, I have hope for her because she got defensive. That means she knows she's in the wrong. If she was totally apathetic, then I'd be worried. And I don't know what I'm going to do. That's why I wrote the post. At this juncture, I'm not sure it's my business to do anything except try talking to her again. Thanks for your advice, but I'm not ending a relationship with someone who's basically my family for one bad thing they did. If you could throw away a 20-year friendship for that, well, that's on you. But I'm not. Thanks. Mermaid says, technically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not something she did. It is something she does. I wonder how you would feel if this were done to you or your SO. In my opinion, let him know anonymously that he needs to change his passwords this second. No need to tell him why. He'll probably be alarmed enough to oblige. Opie says, I wouldn't feel good at all, but I haven't made the best decisions in life before. In fact, people would easily call Kimberly the goody two-shoes out of the both of us. If I was doing something like this, I would hope and know Kimberly wouldn't just be you suck, peace out jerk. She'd try to help me first. If, however, I kept being a jerk, didn't listen and abused our trust and friendship, then she'd rightfully start reconsidering. That's the boat I'm in. I'll cross that bridge if I come to it, but for now, I only have this one piece of information. I'm going to try and help her. I'll convince her to get help. If she keeps being a jerk, I'll reconsider the people we've both become. Tough situation, but I think Kyle would definitely deserve to know, of course. And I'll try and keep it simple, I think, just sending a message. I know it could be intercepted or however, but just change your passwords and log out of all active sessions. He doesn't even need to know the full story unless he asks. But Kimberly may have been heartbroken, but secretly logging into someone's private account for a year isn't just harmless, it's a massive invasion of privacy. And I think Opie was right to call them out and encourage them to stop and hope that they get some help, because it's not right, is it? So I think it's going to be really interesting if Opie does go to approach their friend again and see what they say. But Opie came in 2 days later and said, even though my post didn't get a lot of attention, I wanted to post an update for the curious and for those who were kind enough to share their opinion. So I decided I was going to talk to Kimberly first, sober, before I did anything. I did actually end up finding Kyle's number as a last resort backup in case Kimberly decided there was no way she'd stop. So Kimberly and I had not talked much since the incident, very awkward and stiff. So I text her, hey girl, I miss you. I got this awesome new coffee and creamer flavor. You've got to come over and try it. She jumped on it and I had her over. Once we got settled with our coffee, I took the plunge and started by apologizing for coming across as abrupt and judgmental the last time we talked. She seemed really embarrassed and sad and apologized for getting an attitude with me. But I also said that with that being said, well, I'm sorry about the tone I took. I wasn't sorry about saying what I said. She was just really quiet and looking at the floor. I told her I loved her to pieces and wanted what was best for her, and that good friends don't enable. They call each other out if they're doing something wrong. And what she was doing was really, really messed up, and I was going to give her one chance, just one, to put a stop to it. So if she did not message Cole telling him to change his passwords, I would do it for her. At first she got really upset with me and started to get angry and rage, but I told her there was a reason she told me her secret, because deep down she knows what she's doing is wrong, and I think she was asking for help, but didn't know how to because she can't stop. She just starts crying and crying and crying. She said she was so sick of pining for Kyle. She was still in love with him. She couldn't stop thinking about him, wishing for him, even though she knew they were not meant to be. She just wanted to stop having these feelings, that her boyfriend helped numb the pain a bit or distracted her for it, but it always came back, and she logged in just to be near him again, to see if he was happy, if he missed her at all, etc. She knew it was really bad, but I was right, and she couldn't stop. I just let her cry it out. Then I told her if she wanted to make an anon account or text him from an anon number, she could, or if she wanted me to take care of it altogether, I would. She said no. She was mortified and felt horrible, but she wanted to. But could I please help her and be with her as she did it? So she sent Kyle the following message, help worded by me. Hey Kyle, sorry to bother you. I just realized I haven't really updated our passwords to our social media stuff since last year, and thought it'd be a good idea to change them for myself and that you might want to as well. Basically, so she didn't have to come right out and say it, but Kyle would have been a moron not to pick up on what she was really trying to say. He texts back within 20 minutes. Hey there. Duly noted. Thanks for the heads up. I then told her to delete the text and block the number. I took her out shopping, and while walking I said there is no shame in seeing a therapist to get help with her grief and could give her the start to the relief she wants from hurting over Kyle, and I offered to help her schedule an appointment. Long story short, we found a sliding scale therapist through our alma mater, and she has an appointment next week. That night, just to see if Kyle got the hint, I sat with her as she attempted to log into his account to see if he took the hint. The password didn't work. She cried hard but said it was for the best and thanked me for helping her. Anyways, that pretty much sums it up. I'm going to be there for my friend and be a sounding board and support as she starts to really process her grief. I'm really happy that we both solved the Facebook crap and she has an appointment with a professional to help get a start on things. Per my advice, she's going to take things one day at a time with a new boyfriend and just enjoy him in the moment she has with him. If she finds herself using him as purely a coping mechanism, becoming codependent, or she assesses in 2 to 3 months and she doesn't feel in love with him, or she's not over Kyle, she will let him go and give herself time being single, trying a new hobby, and keeping up with a therapist. Thanks again for everyone who helped. And I really like the way that Opie handled that. You know, she didn't immediately run to Kyle, sure, but she also didn't ignore what Kimberly was doing. She gave her one chance to make it right and held her accountable. And then actually supported her through fixing the problem. And that's what a real friend does, not enabling the bad behavior, but also not abandoning someone who's clearly struggling either. And the fact that Kimberly admitted she couldn't stop, accepted that therapy, and helped Kyle secure his account without making excuses, she knew how wrong it was all along. Hopefully, she also lets the new boyfriend go if she realized she's only using him to fill the void, because that's not fair either. But for me, I think OP handled that really well. The commenter says to OP, you're a solid gold friend. I also have to give Kimberly kudos for realizing what she was doing was wrong, fixing the situation and getting much needed help. Not many people out there have the ability to admit they are wrong and change. Good update all around. Commenter says, I like how you positioned it as being best for her. Friendship is not about judgments, and ultimately your goal is to be there for your friend no matter what she decided to do. So you let her see that you are by her side and not Kyle's. You let her see that this will help her. This is why I think she went along with it. Good for you. But there was people commenting other things as well. Someone said, don't be a busybody. Mind your own damn business. It really annoys me that you decided to manage the entire situation for your friend. You made her text Kyle, made her delete the text, block him, then took her out shopping, made her promise to manage this relationship as you see fit, then got her in therapy. Edit. Oh, and also made her promise to take up a new hobby. Who named you relationship manager? And there was few people agreeing with that comment at the same time as well. I'm still on the other side. I think OP did the right thing in that situation, and the friend was clearly screaming out for help, and that's what she's getting in that moment. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.